talk about the budget presentation you made to the city council. What were the points that you wanted to emphasize to them that you think will help carry Tuscaloosa into a new year?
Well, our budget, $239.8 million overall general fund, non-water and sewer. The points we were trying to make was this. Number one, we have to continue to navigate SSUT and its impact on our budget. As you see in the data, our sales tax is anemic. For a growing city, one of Alabama's fastest growing cities, to have anemic sales tax just shows you the impact of what's happening to us. So we needed to navigate that. Number two, while we were navigating that, we had to mitigate the impact, especially to public safety, which makes up 40% of our budget. And we were able to do that. The city is a AAA rated city. There's not many of those in Alabama or the United States. And so our strong reserves, our budget management allowed us to do that. The last thing we wanted to do was try to protect our agencies. And as many city funds, 43 agencies, for the most part, we were able to level fund, which is a victory considering where we were. And also knowing that for the last 6 years, we've been planning to go into retirement systems of Alabama for our police officers and firefighters. This budget puts $4.9 million additional dollars into our public safety fund, which will ease that transition beginning in fiscal year 2027.
You broke down the budget. Some of it is education, infrastructure, public safety. Why AI innovations?
Well, I think AI is the new frontier for meeting our standard of excellence. Our standard of excellence is to be the most innovative, effective, and accountable government in the United States, and artificial intelligence gives us another opportunity to do that. We're already using the Peregrine platform within TPD's operations. It's been phenomenal. Not just all the data collection, but the predictive analysis that comes with it. If we can apply that to 18 other city departments, it certainly gives us the ability to meet our standard of excellence. The other thing too is over time it can actually lower your personnel cost. And so that to me is another great benefit of using AI technologies. I mean, we're all right now, I think everyone's exploring what can happen with ChatGPT, but that's really just the tip of the iceberg. There's more that can be done, and we want to be on the tip of the spear as a city to make certain we meet that innovation standard that we're aiming for. I am so impressed with what this technology is already doing within TPD. And I see it every single day in the difference that it's making. If we can apply that across 18 other city departments, we can truly meet our standard of excellence.
Mayor, you talked about 40% of the budget going into public safety. I know that includes police and fire, but those two departments kind of separate. Is that amount of money, is it almost equal, or is TPD getting a much greater share of it?
Well, both departments never believe they get enough share of the pie. But in all seriousness, TPD is a little bit more, about 22%, and fire and rescue is around 18% of the total budget. Each one of them serve a critical piece of our public safety platforms here in the city of Tuscaloosa. The movement into RSA is another step in the right direction. We talked about AI earlier, and we can talk about facilities and equipment and vehicles, but ultimately it's going to be that firefighter, it's going to be that police officer, it's going to make the difference in keeping your community safe.
Can you just talk briefly about the role that you want police to play when it comes to public safety and our firefighters, paramedic, and fire rescue?
Well, the police are the lead when it comes to dealing with issues of public safety events, crimes, things of that nature. So they're certainly going to continue to do that. Fire and rescue, their name, fire, certainly that's dealing with the several hundred structure fires we have a year. But their primary job now is actually medical response. And so they continue to excel at that. And so those are the two divisions. Now, there's things that can be integrated. Last year, we held over 50 events in the city of Tuscaloosa, or were part of 50 events that required us to coordinate the public safety for sometimes hundreds of thousands of people. Our operations have to be combined. We can't just work in isolation, because if we've got an intelligence piece or a crime piece, we certainly will need the assets of Tuscaloosa Fire and Rescue. There might be a hazmat situation, there might be a rescue situation. So those things, or those combined operations, is one of the reasons why we recommended the Department of Public Safety.
Going back to the impact of SSUT now, I reached out to the governor. She says that she expects for this to be resolved soon. Where does that lawsuit stand with you?
Right now, it's been assigned into Montgomery Circuit Court, and so we'll just wait for when the judge decides to set a hearing. I know that the commissioner has been served, and we'll just go through the process. We're going on dual tracks. We'll continue to work legislatively, but we also realize there's a legal track we have to take. The city has worked for nearly 8 years to try to resolve this legislatively and have been unsuccessful. So it's certainly, you don't do what we've done in terms of filing a legal case against the state of Alabama lightly, but it's the right decision for the 115,000 people that pay my salary. My job is not the state of Alabama. My job are the people taking care of the people of Tuscaloosa. They deserve to have the tax dollars they generated stay in their community. I think that's a pretty simple argument, and hopefully the courts will find in our favor.
Will the city attorney's office be fighting the battle in court, or will you hire outside counsel?
We do have outside counsel, but we'll also be joined by the city attorney's office.
What would you consider a fair figure to change it to?
I think it's destination sourcing. I think the fair figure is that if Mark Cobb Hughes buys something in the city of Tuscaloosa, we should get the city of Tuscaloosa sales tax rate. We don't want what Mobile has. We don't want what any county has. We just want what's for the city of Tuscaloosa. That's the thing to me that I think is, it's the common sense part of this. We're not asking for someone else's money. We just want to keep what is rightfully earned here in the city of Tuscaloosa. That number's $15 million. That's a lot of money. In a $239 million budget, that's a considerable amount that could have done a lot more for our community, a lot more for our employees. And so you can't, as a body, sustain those type of losses. Again, if you want to get into the data, look at the sales tax numbers. Look at the city sales tax numbers and the county sales tax numbers. Anemic. Now, you look around, you see all this growth. You would go, sales tax has to be just popping. Well, it's not, because we know that people buy increasingly on the internet. We know the data that shows where 100% of retail purchases in 2000 were brick and mortar. Today, that's only 83%. So 17% of the goods and services that people use is on the internet, and we get pennies on the dollar. We can't sustain what we do at the city of Tuscaloosa without the revenue that we've earned. If you want to keep low taxes, let's get the revenue that we earn.
Mary, can you take a half step to your right?
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry, Kelvin.
Mayor, your budget proposal includes salary increases and COLA increases for every city employee. Can you talk about those numbers and what it will mean for the folks who work here at City Hall?
Well, we're in a competitive state right now of trying to compete with the university, with Northport, with the county, and then also the Mercedes and other industries. That's a great thing about being in Tuscaloosa is we have a great job market with high wages. From our standpoint, that means we have to stay competitive. And so we're doing our best to navigate, to thread that needle, to be able to continue to make the investments into our employees. Again, if something happens in my house, if I have a heart attack, I want the best firefighter that we can possibly have on our staff responding. If there's an issue with crime, I want the best police officers responding. It's important we have the wages and benefits that helps us attract the best and brightest. That's the world that we live in. Ironically, we talked about AI earlier, and it's going to be important. And it certainly, I think, will help reduce some personnel costs. But I still think this world's going to be acutely humanistic. And there is no way you're going to be able to AI out police protection or fire protection or build a McWright's Ferry Road. So a lot of the services we have at the city are going to depend upon the people who deliver them. And we want to make certain we have the best people at the city of Tuscaloosa to do it.
Is there a way for just the average Tuscaloosa resident to see where, if next year's budget is $239 million, here's where I can see our tax dollars went into, and here's how it made a difference in my life?
You can go to Tuscaloosa.com/26 budget and see every line item in every budget of the city of Tuscaloosa, also including is my presentation. You have the same information that I have and that the city council has in making those decisions. I would encourage the public to go through it. It's their budget. We're spending their money, and we want them to take a look at their budget. Oftentimes, those rare moments that I lose my mind and read social media, you always deal a case of whataboutism. The city did McWright's Ferry Road, but what about crime? Or the city's going after crime, but what about good shows at the amphitheater? Or we've got, we like the amphitheater, but what about this? The city has to do all these things simultaneously, and we're able to do it with our budget. And I would encourage people to go and look at our budget, see how we fund services. And if they've got any ideas, suggestions, or questions, let us know. It's your budget. We want you to be as involved as possible.
Will you be doing any other presentation and/or do you know when the city council will actually vote on it?
They haven't set their hearing schedule yet. We have asked for a vote on September 23rd, so the next step is for them to set their hearing dates, and then we will go through the inquisition of, of defending the budget. I kid, but actually that's a really good thing, right? I mean, it's a really good thing that the city council comes in and says, Mayor, why did you recommend this, or why isn't this funded? And I would encourage the public to really become involved. People can disagree, and they should, with what we do, but I think the one thing everyone can agree with is there's no smoke and mirrors. We put it right there, we defend it there, and we're willing to answer any question about it. And I'm proud of this budget as I'm proud of the 19 others that I've recommended to the city council.
You said last night that this budget was able to keep level funding for the city departments and most agencies. And kind of a two-part question, can you talk about how you accomplished this budget without many cuts in a really difficult environment? And then also talk about the agency that will see some cuts this year, PARA, what that looks like, what it will mean to them.
Well, the one of the reasons why is because I challenged our accounting and finance team to look under the sofa cushions. You know, let's find every available bit of change that we can at the city of Tuscaloosa. And to their credit, they did. And we've been able to plug in some funding sources that may seem small overall in terms of a $239 million budget, but if you're able to piece enough of those together, they can help sustain you. So that's really their great work of piecing together those small bits of revenue was helpful. That gives us a one-time bridge. Because if you don't get growth in your county sales tax and city sales tax, you can't fund all the services that you see. And again, look at those numbers. That county sales tax, that city sales tax number, they're anemic. So that is, number one, great work. Number two is we cut spending. I mean, we cut several $1 million in spending at the city of Tuscaloosa. So like any household budget, we had to go and make those cuts. I know we were able to do that in such a way that it's not going to really impact a lot of really any of the operations of our departments and agencies. The only agency that received any significant cut, and I say significant because it's not significant, but certainly a reduction, is PARA. One was because the Arts Council is no longer embedded in PARA, and the city always funded the Arts Council through PARA. So that money was taken out and will be directly funded to the Arts Council. Number two is that the city took over the operation of 6 parks over the last 2 years. And so last year we told PARA that in this budget we were going to deduct their cost, what they say their cost of taking care of those parks on an annual basis was, from their funding. Because now the city is taking over those. So that was why PARA was reduced. Now, PARA was also increased. If you look in the budget, we increased the tennis center budget. I'm going to be a little bit off on this, but I think over $250,000 because we've expanded the facility. There's going to be more use. They need more personnel. So they actually, when you look at the tennis center, actually received an increase.
And when is the groundbreaking expected over there in Alberta?
Well, we should have the ribbon cutting. I want to say December. Don't hold me to it, but I want to say December.
TPD just recently released statistics that show a major crime reduction here in Tuscaloosa. Do you believe that those statistics justify spending 40% of the overall budget on public safety?
Absolutely. The number one reason why people invest and want city government is public safety. And I'm very proud of what TPD has done every single day. And we understand that the ultimate scorecard is the crime data. That's the ultimate scorecard. But there are a lot of victories that never appear on that scorecard. You know, the public doesn't see the dozens of crimes a month that we actually keep from happening because of the work, the things that we prevent. So it was I know it was very gratifying to Chief Blankley, his command team, and especially our officers out there, to see that all this work over the last couple of years is now being translated into the ultimate scorecard. So yes, I think it more than justifies it. I can tell you this as a citizen. There is no other law enforcement officer I would want coming to my aid than a TPD officer. They're the best trained, best disciplined officers, and they're in it for all the right reasons.
Speaking of victories, it seems like this year and the coming year, there are a lot of big projects coming, culmination. So what's the city going to look like a year from now when we meet, as opposed to how it looks now?
I think you're going to see a lot of growth in North Tuscaloosa and the McRice Ferry corridor. In terms of, now whether that growth will have been groundbreaking or not, I don't know, but I think you'll see a lot of planned growth. You know, you can say this is coming, you can even have it under construction, but until people see it, I think it changes the outlook. I think a couple of other things, though, that are pretty big that'll be happening. Number one is I firmly believe we'll be under construction with MLK Phase 3, the opening up the train trestles. I think it will have the same impact as McRice Ferry Road. As that project opens up those train trestles, people are going to begin to see the 100-plus acres in West Tuscaloosa that are undeveloped, the old Tuscaloosa Country Club property. I think that's going to be huge. The Savings Center will be another one. This time next year, the Northern River Walk Phase 2 should be under construction. All these projects, you know, going on, I think, and we were able to fund, we've made it work under our budget process, are going to continue to help transform this city. But again, I want to talk about the whataboutism, because sometimes the criticism you get is, oh, they're investing in parks. Well, 40% is into public safety of what we do every single day. And so I think you'll see a safer city come this time next year. And I also think you will see us begin to have some understanding of what the future is going to be like with SSUT. And what I mean by that is, do we think it can be solved or not? If it's solved, that creates one decision tree. If it can't be solved, it creates another. And I think that'll be another. That's something I can't predict, but that'll be, you know, from this time next year, I think will be something that'll be front and center.
Zigzagging a little bit, how do you feel about the first year of Danny Wimmer Presents the amphitheater?
I'm extremely pleased. This is, you know, as you know from across the nation, this is a tough year for venues across the United States. I've been very impressed with the artists we've been able to get, especially with the great work that Coca-Cola Amphitheater has done in Birmingham. They were hyper aggressive in going out there and landing artists. They're doing what I would do. If my first year I'm going to open those gates, I'm going to put some unreal contract offers out there, and they did a fantastic job. I love our long-term future of what's going to happen at the amphitheater. Danny Wimmer Presents is a, you know, by the way, I have nothing but respect for Red Mountain and Gary Weinberger. Thoroughly enjoyed our relationship with them. But I'm excited about this new chapter with DWP. I like their energy. I like their style. We've also going to try a couple of different avenues and approaches with the amphitheater. You and I have been talking about this a long time. Mm-hmm. We're a unique market. People sometimes forget that we're a small market of less than 250,000 people. When you compete with a Birmingham of 1.6 million, a Huntsville of 500,000, of course the Gulf Coast that has its own positive, unique vibes, you have to be different in how you approach it. We've got some ideas coming for next season and the season after that I think are going to help us find that niche. The Mercedes-Benz Amphitheater, formerly Tuscaloosa Amphitheater, has been one of the most successful projects. Over its history, it's been as cost neutral as you can be. In many years, it's been a profit center for our city. But even more than the balance sheet, what it's done, what it's been able to do for our riverfront. Think about, because you remember, Mark and I are the old ones here. You remember what was down there when we started construction? Nothing. Nothing.
Chevy place.
Nothing. Look at it today. I mean, look at that old landfill and look at what's today. I believe its next chapters can be just as much fun. And then when the Savings Center opens across the street, man, you're talking about something really cool. It's going to be fun to live here in Tuscaloosa.
Most people are worried about the budget's impact on them. Can you talk briefly, if I didn't miss it coming in late, about the impact on environmental service fees and your water bill? Are customers going to see a rate increase?
There's a $1 increase on the water bill. On the environmental services bill. We still charge citizens about $18 less a month than what it costs. That's something we're very proud of. On the water and sewer side, there will be a 3% cost of living increase that will go along with the 6% increase for capital projects.
And what does that translate to in a monthly bill?
For the average bill, I don't have the data in front of me. It's probably about $6 to $7. If the average bill is, let's say, $80 a month, $90 a month, then it's probably going to be somewhere around the $7 to $8 mark per month. I know in our studies that we look at during the budget process, when you look at our water rate costs for customers, it's still one of the cheapest in the state. And we're always trying to balance that because Tuscaloosa, Northport, and Dothan are the only 3 cities in Alabama that fully operate a water and sewer underneath their department structure and own our balance sheet. And so we try to make certain we fall in line and we look at that so we're able to provide our customers the best service at the lowest cost with strong infrastructure. Anything else?
Anything new about McFarland Mall?
No, there's not. But I see that Mr. Pate has knocked down, I think, the vinyl store. We've had really great discussions, and I know that we've been working with Mr. Pate on that. It's a difficult time, and I can tell you, we talked with Mr. Pate about putting bait on a hook, and I think we've got a very good bait on the hook. But companies right now are trying to figure out what the future is, and until everyone feels certain that the tariff issues are solved, other things that are out there, unless it was already planned, kind of like us at the city, everything that was planned, that was in place, we're rolling with. Everything kind of in the future, we're pausing on a little bit. That's what you're seeing in that retail market. Retail's changing, by the way, too. I mean, retail is going through a major shift. So working through that, I do feel confident, though. I know Mr. Pate, from my conversations with him, we probably talk about this once every couple of weeks, he's very, very focused on getting the right fit for that site. And we've had some very positive discussions with people that we could never get to the table in the past.
This may be of interest to very few readers, but I know maybe the dark cloud in the budget was health insurance premium increases for city employees. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about kind of the factors that led to those cost increases and what that'll mean for the people who work here?
Yeah, the city's self-insured. So we, at the end of the year, pay what our costs are. Last year, and your projection is based off your prior year. So last year, we had a couple of really major claims. So that's one reason that went into the health insurance increase. The other is that insurance companies are marking up what they believe will be the tariff costs related to prescriptions. And so that's, again, just another impact of what's going on out there. Our initial discussions with Blue Cross Blue Shield was 11%. We were able to negotiate down by 8.3%. At the end of the day, whatever that number is, the city will be liable for. And so, again, it's one of those things that is frustrating. But I will say this. Our health insurance costs versus what you see in the private sector are incredibly low. I think you would probably all attest to that. The other thing is that, employees are not required to take the city's health insurance. And so if there is a cheaper health insurance option out there, that's certainly available to employees. So I can tell you that the people that I deal with in the private sector, our insurance is still one of the best insurances you can have at a very low cost. And our people deserve it, by the way. Absolutely deserve it. But it is tough right now. Insurance is another one of those things. You read the papers. You understand what's happening. Papers, I'll explain that to some of y'all later. Mark, you know what papers are. That issue right now is again, people are trying to figure out what the future is to keep health care costs affordable.
Don't get sick.
I lived for about 7 months without health insurance, and I was 23. It's scary. I've never forgotten that feeling, and I know anybody that's lived without it, it really is. I mean, we take it for granted, or I do. I won't speak for y'all. I do. I take it for granted, but I still don't forget that feeling.
All right, I know Mayor has to go. Y'all have any other last questions?
I think we've run all through them.
All right. Thank y'all for covering us.